Welcome back everyone to the 5th video on this Introduction to Unreal series. In this video we're going to start talking about brushes, or BSP as they're called in the Unreal Engine. So basically what that means is that here you will be able to build geometry, so these ones. That's what we're going to be talking about, and I'm going to show you basically what they are. So for that I'm going to show you this environment that I recently created, and this one is the one that is also used in the opening sequence of this course, where you see the young lady walk past here and we go into this big environment with all these slums, right, where you can see all this stuff. So this is all in that trailer, right? You have the bar, all that stuff. I'll quickly do a flyby so you can quickly see all this stuff that I built. And these ones, they come from different packages, so different asset packs. I only have a few things that are my own. I uploaded, so this character, for example, right here, this hologram, this is a character that I created myself, and the word Foxy Girls with where the eye is a heart, that is an item also that I did myself in Blender. But all the rest are asset packs that I got from the marketplace, right? And you've got all these cool decals, graffiti, really fun stuff. It's all very detailed. So you can go up the stairs, go to up. Let's keep going up. There we go. Oh, there you go. You got one of the apartments here. I think the second floor was the one that was, yeah, second floor. This one you also get to see in the trailer, right, where you get to see all this stuff. And basically it's like, yeah, like an inner courtyard with all these apartments everywhere in a dystopian type of place, where, you know, it's not very pretty, all these fences and stuff. You've got all these buildings, high-rise buildings at the top. It's a daytime, but you wouldn't think so. When you're all the way down, it doesn't really feel like daytime, right? But it is, because, you know, it's quite dark down here. But it's just simply because the shadows just don't reach. It's so far down. There's so many high-rise buildings around here that it just doesn't reach, right? So, and basically, this environment was created starting with a very simple structure. That's what I wanted to show you, basically. So I'm going to stand right here so you can have a good view, right? And here at on the side, I've got a point light here. I'll quickly add that to lights. But right here, I've got all these things, right? I've got actors, cameras, decals, geometry, and all that stuff. I am going to remove the static meshes, and then you're going to see just the geometry. And it's you know, when I look at all this stuff, there are 1,527 individual items, or actors as they're called here. You'll see what that means. If I remove the static meshes, this is what you got. Let me remove the lighting, the graffiti, decals, placeholder characters, sequences, doesn't matter. Particle systems, I remove these. And this is what's left, basically. If I press escape, this is what's left, this right here, right? And this, what you're seeing right here, all this, the basic structure of this environment, this is what I started off with. Okay, this is something that I built myself. I modeled this myself inside the Unreal Engine, right? And this is basically the base geometry that I used to create all the rest on top of, right? So if we were to go turn the lights back on, then we have particle systems, that's over there. Static meshes we'll do last, graffiti, some decals, actors we don't really need. However, if I were to turn them on, I think we would be able, yeah, we would. Here she is. That's the young lady that starts walking. And the biggest one would be the static meshes. That makes all the difference. You can see that right here. It's full of it, right? All these details and all that stuff. It's basically built on top of it, right? All these static meshes, all this stuff, it's all built. If I remove it again, that's a world of a difference. It's what makes it happen. But the base structure, like I mentioned, is within this geometry, this base geometry that I've got right here. If I were to, let's have a quick look. Again, if I were to turn off static meshes, see, it's just very simple setup. There's nothing too interesting to look at. Got some actors there. That's it. But when we turn them on, that's what makes all the difference, right? Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about right now, the geometry. Now, in order to do that, we're going to load up another file, so we don't need to be here. We might come back and play around in this world when we start the tutorials on animation and cinematics, because this is a pretty fun environment to create all kinds of cinematics in. But I'll see. We'll see if that makes sense to do that, or if we decide to play elsewhere. Okay, but first, the lesson or the tutorial on geometry. Let's kickstart that one. What I'm going to do, we're going to basically go back to our outdoor environment that we had last time, outdoor lighting, and yeah, no need to save. And so we're going to continue right here. We're going to start working with geometry right here, right? So we still have all this, and that's fine. Just for some, to make it a little bit easier on ourselves, we're going to create a character. We're going to bring a character in. So let's go to mannequin, character, mesh. This time we're going to work with the guy. Oop, he came out a bit funny there. If this happens, you can always just put everything back to normal, 0, 0, 0. There you go. And location doesn't really matter. It's, I think he's on the surface now. There we go. Yeah, we're going to use him as a reference point as to how big everything is. Oh, and before I forget, because I'm never really showing you guys this, or haven't shown you that yet, because normally you don't, you're not normally going to use this for making video games, at least not. If you follow this course in particular, it's more because you want to get into maybe previs, or you want to do cinematics or stuff like that. But let's say for some reason you do want to get into games, let's teach you about the player start. Player start. This is something you'll definitely want in your level, and that's basically where your player will start, right? Wherever you put this. So let's say for this one, maybe it would make sense to make you start in here. Whoops. There we go. Yeah, if it says bad size, it just means that you have to lift them up a bit. Otherwise, you won't be able to start up. You'll be stuck in the floor. So not a good idea. But let's say that, yeah, let's make this our player start. So what does that mean? That when I press, oh yeah, plus, maybe change the direction in which the player looks. There we go. Let's make it 90. So now, as you start, you'll start looking outward. Right, so this is basically what that does. If I were to go to, it's hidden here, but if I go to play, right, and this is as a simulation now, so just play the selected viewport. See, there you go, and now I can look around and walk in this world as this character, right, which is standard with the Unreal Engine. It's fun to do this. Sometimes it's good to have a player start in your environment. just to walk around and see if the measurements are right and just all that type of stuff. And of course, if you do want to make video games, then this makes a lot of sense to have one of these in, because then you can test your level, right? If can you jump on the ceiling, for example, will you be able to jump on here and from there make it to the ceiling here? These type of things. There you go. So these are type of things that you might want to play test, right? Okay, but I just wanted to quickly show you that because I forgot to do that in previous videos. And now you know how to get your character into the world of Unreal. Right, escape, and then you get back out. We'll just leave the player start there. And let's quickly look at geometry. So, geometry right here. What can we do with geometry? Geometry is different from because you have your geometry in your basic as well, right? You've got a cube and a sphere and all that stuff. And I'm going to just drag two of them out. So let's get a normal cube, right? Let's bring this up. Put it here, for example. And let's see. Let's focus on, go back to content, get some materials going so that I can showcase some of this stuff. Let's see. My materials are looking a bit funny here, but it's not very sharp. But no worries. We'll just take this and import this into here. Compiling. There we go. And so that's what it looks like, right? We got that one. Right. Now this is one of these ones, right? Out of basic. I am going to do the exact same. So while this is selected, right? And if I were to go to geometry and place one of these boxes here, right? So you will only see the outline. I hope you guys can see that. These red lines. So the outline's only the red lines you can see. It's as soon as I let go that I'll see my geometry, right? And this one is different because you will have things on the edges, right? You've got these little dots that you can modify and all that stuff. Right, now we're going to stretch this really quickly, right? I'm going to stretch it, and remember what happened, what we said in, I think it was the first video or the second, that stretching is not a good idea. Here, it's not really what you want, right? So you don't want to do that. Command Z or Control Z. Let's see what happens if we start stretching this one, right? So let's stretch this one out, and if we were to do this, like this, it stretches as well, right? And that's also not what you want. So again, stretching or scaling, never like this, never in one or the other direction like this. If you do all three at the same time, then it's fine. But even then, with these BSPs, as they call it, these brushes, I wouldn't do it that way. There is something else that's much more interesting. When you go, let's see where this is, right here. So you have to have your box selected, so your BSP box, and you go to this place where it says brush settings. So you have to scroll down, okay, and you have your brush settings. You have an X, Y, and Z right there. Now, we know that the Y is the green axis. So if we were to, for example, it's now 200 units, right? So pretend this is like 2 by 2 by 2. If you were to use the metric system, it would be 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters, right? So let's bring this over to 400, for example. And now, this is what happens. See, our texture stays the same. It doesn't stretch. What it does is that it keeps on duplicating, okay? And I can do this, in all directions, right? If I wanted, for example, the top to go up the same way, 400 on the Z-axis, see, does the same, right? And let's bring this up a bit because obviously it would have brought that up. Also, what is interesting to do, by the way, if we know that we increased by 200, all we have to do here, if we want to be very precise, put it at 100, bring it up twice, once and twice, let go, and this will be perfectly on the floor, right? So that's why the snapping is very useful here. Right. So as you can see, that's one thing about brushes that's very interesting. But the other part that's even more interesting is that you can modify them. Okay, you can make all kinds of modifications to them. So if I wanted to edit this particular box and get more out of it than just a box, then I would be able to go into my modes and I go to brush editing, right? And now it changes color. So in brush editing, when I click on a side, that means I can modify this side, right? So I click this one, for example, and I am going to move it this way by 100 units. I move it, and there we go, right? So you see how that just created additional texture. The UVs, they follow, and that's quite useful, right? Same way, we can go inward by, let's say, 100, and then if we were to just let go, right, and go Shift 1 to go back to thingy, to the standard select mode, then we'd be right here, yeah? So this is very useful to very quickly block out geometry, right? Because just like the others, you can, if you press Alt key or Option key on a Mac and you drag and drop, first you're only going to see the outline, but as soon as you let go, you got yourself another piece of geometry, right? Very useful. Let's Control Z that, or undo, Command Z on Mac. And the other thing we can do with this, back to Shift 4. So if we were to modes again, Shift 1, Shift 2, Shift 3, Shift 4. So brush editing, Shift 4. If we wanted to modify this in terms of like, let's add additional sections, you can go to, for example, here, extrude. And then you can, yes, of course, that is normal. So it only works with local coordinate system. That's fine. So that's not a problem. You've got local coordinates and world coordinates, and we'll discuss that maybe at a later point in time. Just press close and it will work. So here what you can do is extrude, and you can say, for example, how many lengths, for how many units do you want to extrude and how many segments do you want in there, right? Or you can just extrude manually. Don't forget, you have your snapping on. So if I were to press, now I just extruded, and it created additional geometry. Now when you extrude, it's going to create blank geometry like this. So wherever you don't have a texture applied to it, or a material applied to it, it's just going to fill it like with a blank UV grid. Okay, that's normal. Do not panic. I'll teach you how to fix that in a second. Right? So that's how you can extrude. Right? So if we quickly wanted to create some more geometry, so Shift 4. Click on here again, and let's quickly create some additional geometry. So again, we just can either, oh yeah, that's another thing. If we move like this, that's moving. Again, you have to, because you're in edit, you're not in extrude, so you can also move. Then you create areas like these. Let's just leave it like this for now, considering we just did that. And let's go back to extrude. And yeah, just don't show that again, thank you. And here, let's extrude again for 100 units, for example, 100, 200, 300. We said one segment, remember? So it's only going to use one segment. Now, what if we wanted to extrude for another 300? So we do a length of 300, but this time on this one, we want 3 segments, right? So we put in 300, 3, and then all we have to do now is apply. So now it made 300, okay, of 3 segments, okay? So you basically have the same again and again and again for 3 times. Yeah, so that's 3 times 300. And then here, for example, if we were to mirror that, I think that's 200. So let's do a quick one of put the segments to 1, put this to 200, press enter, and then apply. You'll get that part. And then if we wanted to, the bottom part, select this. I don't remember, I think it was 400 downwards. So let's take 400 units. apply, there we go, and if I'm not mistaken, this part was inward, right? This went inward. So you can also select just the vertices on the edges, right? You just do that by clicking on them. Now, if you want to, oops, there we go. Now, if you want to click on this one as well, you cannot use Shift, okay? It won't do like Shift select. In this case, you have to do a Control select, okay? So it works with Control or Command on a Mac, right? So if I were to do that and I were to move this now 100 units like within the previous one, there we go, we let go. And now we have the same setup on this side, right? And we've created ourselves a new piece of geometry, right? In case we don't have a mesh that does something like what we want right here, then now we've got it, right? Now, let's quickly see how we can fill this one up with textures, right? So let's go back to Shift 1, and you've got all these planes, right? And I'm going to show you how to do this. So look, the texture is selected, right? The bricks, red concrete. I'm going to select on this, and when I hold in Shift now and I click, left click, then it's just going to assign a texture, right? And if I do it again on this one, it's going to do the same and the same, right? Now what you'll notice is that these textures, right, these ones, are not going in the same direction. Maybe I want that to happen, right? If I do, there is a very simple solution for that, and that's here. So surface properties, you've got pan and rotate. If we were to rotate this 90 degrees, and here you can switch direction, right, to toggle the direction. So we need to switch it this way, press 90 degrees, and there you go. It just turned 90 degrees. But we haven't solved the problem completely yet. So if I see, the seams don't match up yet. So if we wanted the seams to match up, you can pan it on this side, right? And you can do it in sections of 4, in sections of 16th. If we wanted to go in the other direction, like this one, I'm going to try and move to another side to see that it doesn't keep flickering like that. Nope, there's no way. It will just do it. Maybe it's because I'm recording. I don't know. But either ways, let's keep moving this in this direction, right? Or if I were to, no, in the other direction now, this one. Up, up, up. There we go. Now smaller amounts. And now we have to move it again in here. Really small amounts. I think we got it now. There we go. And now it's perfectly lined up. And you got yourself a seamless texture right here, right? So that's how you do that. It's very, very useful. I really like these brushes. They're very, very useful. And you can very quickly put all your textures all over the place. Now, again, all you have to do is click on the surface. You can click multiple surfaces by pressing Control. Remember, here it's Control. So here, for example, you hold in Control, and you select, 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 and you got more of them, and then you do Shift, and then you left mouse button click, and then you've got all of these surfaces right here as well, right? And what else we can do, there are some things that we'll need to fix here, like the thingies here. We'll do that in a second, right? What if you wanted to select all of these sides in one go? That's perfectly possible, by the way, right? So let's select one of them. Yeah. So let's say we got this, and then we do Shift B. That selects all the surfaces, right? And now if I hold in my Shift key and just the left mouse button, I will assign the material that is currently selected. If I were to select another material, let's do this one, for example, the brick wall gray, and I Shift and then select again, it will assign that exact same texture to all the surfaces. Let's Command Z that, or Control Z, just undo that. And same here. So let's quickly revise how to do this again. So let's bring this to the right place. I'll quickly revise. So here you've got your pan for your texture, and here you can pan in that direction or in this direction. You can click on these arrows, and then here you move in this direction, so actually we need to go in this one. 16, another 16. If you need to go smaller, you just go to 164. Smaller, no, we need to go in the other direction now. Click, click, click. Oh, we bypassed it. And here, one more. I think that's it. We got it. There we go. And that's how we fix that area, right? And that's how you can create a whole bunch of geometry. Also here, for these ones, click, 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 click. Oops, sorry, I think it's to go here. And this one, or no, maybe this one I want it that way. Yeah, let's leave that one the way it was. Let's maybe focus on here, what we could do here. Either we could rotate them around, make it like this, right? And then you've got all your surfaces like that. Could work. I don't know what's going on beneath. We'll see. There we go. Yeah, that we could also line up. But it seems to be okay here. And the reason for that is because we were extruding. So if you extrude, it'll just follow the same pattern. Here, it makes sense, as I've noticed, to move it in this direction as well. So again, you just try to get close to your texture and you start moving it, right? So in the wrong direction this time. Let's go here and one more time, flip it around, smaller amounts now. One more, flip it around again. Get it. There you go, perfect. And we have a seamless texture, right? Very useful. That's how you can make the best use of this. You can also change, obviously, if you wanted a different, completely different material on here, like I said, like this one, for example, all you got to do is just select that, and then you'll have two different materials, right? One at the top, one at the bottom. You can scale them as well. Say, for example, you do not like the size of it, right? It's too small, maybe. Nothing stopping you from making it bigger. So say, for example, 4 times the size, and also 4 times here. So on the U and on the V. The V is the vertical, and the U is the horizontal. You press apply, and now it's bigger, right? So it's extremely flexible. You can do a lot with this, just with this simple geometry, and with just your materials, you could really do a whole lot. And you can do the same here again. So you apply the material here. Don't forget, you'll have to scale the UVs here as well. You can just press 4 here and also press 4 here and then apply. And it will just modify that as you had it in this one, right? And you can keep doing that on all these selected ones until you get it. Let's see, what else can we do? Yeah, so that is very important when creating these materials. What else can I show you here? Let's move this one into place also while we're at it. So one last reminder, it's like this, boom, 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 till you get it. Here you'll have to make small steps. I think we got it. If we were to quickly look, yeah, that works for me. And right, so with that done, let's make a hole in there, right? Let's do that. So how do we make a hole in here? Well, there's one thing that's important about this. When you go, where is this? Where does it say this? In brush settings. Yeah, you have a brush type. There are 2 types, and you can see them here as well. There is the additive and the subtractive, right? So the additive means that it will add geometry. The subtractive means that it will take geometry away. So I'll quickly show you what I mean. So let's bring in a box, or let's do a cylinder actually. Let's work with something else. So let's bring in a cylinder, and let's bring it right here maybe, right? You can already start seeing what's happening here. And because I have this material selected, it's going to work with that material. So let's try to align this nicely. Something like this. I think, no, I still have, what we can also do, of course, is just go from your top view, press F, and you'd be able to see where it stands. If your static meshes are in the way, just remove them, and you can just focus on your brush only. Right, so we are seeing that it needs a few more units to line up. So like this, that's a perfect, yeah, perfect match. And then we will go into perspective. Now we can see that it's actually cutting through, right? If I were to actually bring this down all the way and do this, then there we go. We have a freshly cut geometry. Let me put the static meshes back. And then we've got geometry that's cut, right? And that's a way to very quickly add or cut geometry, for example, right? Now we have a hole in our material, right? In our mesh, basically. Again, very, very useful for very quickly prototyping environments. If you need to very quickly create a scene and you don't have the static meshes for it, well, nothing's stopping you from using geometry, basic geometry, just to create what you need. If you've got fun materials to work with, you'll be able to create very interesting geometry, and you'll be able to block out any scene that you want. So that's very useful. So that's one thing to keep in mind, right? We can also, if we were to, let's say, where is this one? Wait, I have a box brush, and that's my plus. If you look at the icon, it might be difficult to see on your screen, but on this icon there is a minus sign. That's how you know whether it's an additive or a subtractive brush. This is a subtractive brush. Now, in this case, the outer radius, so with this one you've got your cylinder, you can also change it to whatever other thing you want, your brush shape. But in this case, for example, if we wanted the outer radius to be smaller, because we want we only want a hole in the actual geometry, but not the geometry to split up in two, you can do something like 150 outer radius, and then it just becomes smaller, just like that. Right? It's that simple. It's really useful. Obviously, this is very interesting for creating all kinds of lights. If you wanted to play with specific lighting scenarios and all that type of stuff. And of course, you can modify this, and you can modify the shape. So we are, let's put this at 100 again, and let's move this 100 that way, and there you go. And you literally are modifying the shape of your geometry. So like this, you can very quickly create all kinds of very interesting geometry shapes that are beneficial to your environment, okay, for your design. And of course, you can apply all the same practices that you were doing here. So if your UVs, you wanted to have them scaled up and all that stuff, you can still do that there. So that's really useful. And you can attach any material to this. So you can, I mean, you can be very creative about it. You can create, for example, certain subdivisions where you extrude in 3 segments, for example, and the inner segment. I'll see if I can quickly, would I be able to show that somewhere here? The question whether you can subdivide itself like in a 3D program, I don't know that. I know that you can do a lot in Shift, but I've never triangulate, break down selected polygons into triangles, optimize as something else. With the pen, I know you can draw vertices directly into the orthographic viewport. That's true. But maybe clip a given and dividing plane, cut the geometry into 2 pieces, optionally discarding one of them. There you go. So I assume you can clip. I've just never tried it. Yeah, here, for example, I can't do it now. So maybe it only works. Let's see. No, again, I don't know how this works, but I assume that that's where you can do it, or subdivide. Either ways, if you wanted to create something with different materials on it or something, what I was trying to say is that you can try to build around it and think in terms of, like, how many sections can I create here? And then one of these sections, I can give a material of an emissive light, for example. And then you've got your lights. right, without having to actually add additional lighting. So that's another thing that's very interesting to keep in mind. Let's see, another one that's very useful that I really like is the linear stair, right? Because if you look very carefully, it's creating the stairs right here. It's an, oh yeah, we forgot to put it as a additive, so we're going to make additive, and there's our staircase, right? Now I'm going to have to remove this young man and put him somewhere here, and let's find him a way to get up there, right? Now, you must be thinking, yeah, that's all beautiful, but the staircase doesn't reach, right? What am I supposed to do? Put like a staircase on top of a staircase on top? No. There's another way of doing that. Also, I realized that the stairs are under the floor. Let us quickly bring this up. Boom, boom, boom. I think about here somewhere. Right, and on this end, another thing what we can do, I haven't shown you guys this yet, but okay, let's say, I'm gonna bring it up one more so I can actually see the dot. Okay, let's say that I want to perfectly align this to this edge of this wall, right? Then what we can do is, remember how we can move our pivot point? So that was the Option key or the Alt key, your middle mouse button, right? And then you can try to attach it to this particular vertices. You do that by holding also the letter V, okay? And now if I let go, the pivot point has attached to it. So I can right mouse, oh, no, sorry. With geometry, it's a bit tricky. So I'll explain that again. So you hold in your Alt key. You hold in your middle mouse button. That gives you freedom of movement of your pivot point. Now you hold in the letter V, V of victory, right? And then you will be able to snap to your vertices. Now, this is important. The following step is quite important. If you want to make sure that this pivot point is locked in this place, remember you have to tell Unreal Engine that the pivot has to be set as the pivot offset. So otherwise, when I click on something else, this surface, and I come back here, then it would move back there. But now the pivot point is right there. So we've attached it to a specific vertices. Now, if we want to attach this geometry to that corner, now it's easy, right? So I can move this, but I can also hold the letter V, and as I move, or actually so let's move it like here, loose, and I press the letter V, and I hold it, the letter V, I let go, and now it's perfectly snapped to that same vertice, okay, or that vertex. And this is how you can create the stairs. Now, I can hear you think like, yeah, but you won't make it with that. You need more geometry, right, to make it to the top. Yeah, sure, we could do that. There are a few ways of doing this. Let's do a staircase that will actually reach, right? So in order for us to do that, we're going to move back a few steps. Let's go 100. Let's go back. Let's say here, right? And so when we go back to our brush, because all these brush settings, they have different settings, right? This one is a linear stair, right? And you've got different type of thingies again. And you have your step length. So if I were to show you, that's what it does. That's the length, right? Let's Control Z that, or undo that. You got your step height, right? We could try it like this, but I'm not sure our character will make it. Or we can also the width. So the width is now at 200, but we could also, for example, say, oh, 200 is too much. We just want it to be 100, right? And then it will be 100 in width, but we're not going to do that either. What we're going to do is increase the number of steps. It's really that simple. Now it has 10 steps, but what if we just did 12 steps, right? Or what if we did 20 steps, right? You can keep going on and on. 20 is almost getting there. So let's try 30. Let's see if that makes it. 30 goes past it. I am counting. Let's see how many steps I think. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, let's remove 5 steps. I think with 25 we might be able to make it. Let's move it back a bit. Almost. We need a 26 step. There we go. I think this will make it. And again, it has moved. So when you, that's another thing that I forgot to tell you. When you change your brush settings here, the pivot point will snap back to its original form, because that's just the way it works. So don't worry, it's not that your program is like buggy or anything. That's not the reason. Okay, it's just that when you change your brush settings, that's just what happens. So again, this is maybe a good opportunity for us to practice that again. So for the, we have to have a good sight of where we want it. We middle mouse button, we hold in the Alt key or the Option key on a Mac, middle mouse button, so we got our pivot point, and hold in the letter V now, and it will snap to the vertex. Now here, again, you have to right click. So if you right click here, it will go back, okay, and that's very annoying. Your pivot point will go back, so don't do that. Okay, so middle mouse button, or start with the Option key. Start holding down the Option key first, then hold down the middle mouse button, right? We're holding down the middle mouse button plus the Option key or the Alt key, and then hold down the V, the letter V at the same time. I'm holding down the Alt key, the V, and the middle mouse button, all three at the same time. Now I'm going to let go. And when working with geometry, go over one of these lines, okay, like the axes. I'm going to go over the blue one and right-click that one so that my pivot point doesn't move. And then I go to Pivot, and then I go to Set as Pivot Offset, and now we've got it. Okay, I can click on this and go back here, and the pivot offset is where we want it to be. Right, let's move this one again. If we just want to move the geometry, it's left mouse button, right? So you can move that anywhere. But with the letter V pressed in, so you hold down the letter V, you let go, and we snapped again, right? And if we were to really quickly check, he's got 1 step too much. It looks like we could have done it with 25 steps. Well, okay, no worries. We just, of course, if we change it now, it will. Let's just leave it like this for now, or we can always fix it. The height of a step is 20, right? So if we follow logic and we just go 20 down, so 1, 2, that should solve it, but we're going to get clipping there, overlapping geometry. So let's go down 1 so that you're hiding that geometry, and that should do it. I mean, that's one way of fixing it. And we could do a test. We could do a play test. So if we just go back here, we play, we go to our character, and you'll be able to walk up these stairs for sure. There we go. And we got ourselves a thing. Now he needs to make that jump. Don't think he will be able to. Let's try. Oh, he is. Wow, this guy should join the Olympic team. Look at that. No way in hell I can make that jump. But this guy can. So perfect. See, and this is why sometimes it's useful to have one of these characters in your environment, just to check things and test them out. Right, escape. And so that's how you can create that geometry, right? So we've got additional geometry. Notice how the lighting hasn't applied here yet, right? Because you obviously have to rebuild some of that lighting. If you want the lighting to be accurate, again, you'll have to bake this part, so the bounce light and all that stuff. It looks okay because you have your shadows here and all that stuff. That's fine. But again, if you really want it to be accurate, you'll have to do some rebuild or change the way your lights are set up. Because normally this would have more shadow for sure. If you have a sunlight here, where is it? It's in front. You've got clouds in front now, but you would normally have that. So let's see what else. I think we've covered the grand majority of things. It's just about being creative. Once you have ideas on this, you can create all kinds of geometry. And what I do also with my geometry, so I tend to put them together. So I grab these two, and I create a folder for that, and I call it geometry. so that geometry, so that I have all these things together. This was a cube, that's a static mesh. Player start and stuff, yeah, that's fine. But these are the things that I like to keep an eye on and use in when building environments. Very useful. You'll be able to get a whole bunch out of that. And the most important thing is just to be creative with it. Right? We can create doorways, anything. Let's say you wanted a doorway here. Again, it's very simple, right? Just think about how to add a box. Right? We add a box. Right now, is it a subtractive? Yes, it's a subtractive box. So very simple. We just line it up. We move it in here. We let go. It's not far enough. Let's go a little bit further. There we go. We got our hole. And we can drag it down a bit. Say this. Do we need to drag it down a bit more? Yeah. See, it's really that simple. It's like Booleans. If you know 3D, you just work with Booleans, it's the same thing. Right? And now we've got a space that we can walk through. Well, in theory, I'm not sure because where's our character? Oh, we'll bring a new character in. This one, we'll come over here. Let's quickly see if you'll fit. Oops. In theory, just about, but if you were to do a playtest, I have a feeling that your collision will just about not work. You'll need a little bit more height in order to get them through. I think. I might be wrong. If I really wanted to find out, just all I have to do is just do a playtest, right? Again, simple as that. Just do a playtest. Let's all find out. Go through, and let's see if you can get through. Yeah, perfect. All right, awesome. See, and this is how you can start creating entire environments, at least the basic stuff. And after that, if you wanted to add static meshes on top, like you want a fence, for example, press escape. Let's quickly say you wanted a fence. So again, you go to your static mesh, providing you have a fence in your asset packs, or not fence. There we go. Let's say one of these, and we'll just drag it in and place it on top, turn it around. And it's really that easy. It's that fun. It's, yeah, like I tell you, I love the Unreal Engine for this reason alone, that you can just build so many things and you've got so much freedom to just create as you see fit, right? And you wanted to create that, you just press Alt key or Option key. Maybe let's try it. If we want it to be a little bit faster, let's see what happens if we do it in jumps of 100. Boom, boom. Yeah, sure, that works. Right, and if you just select both, like Shift select, then Option or Alt key, there you go. Now we've got 4 of these. So you can also just select them here, all these 4, and we keep going. Right, like so. There we go, perfect. And now we just select all of them. On this side, there you go. And where is this handle? There we go. Hold this Option or Alt key. Move it here. You'll see that on this side it's a bit too much. No worries. We'll just put snapping to 10 and move it inward a bit. Something like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, that will do. And now we've got a railing, right? And again, you can move around and you will see this, because you've got that, the edge detection works there. So I mean the collision. So again, you play, you go, climb up the ladder, and now you can't fall off anymore, right? All you can do is jump, right? Or jump over it and land over here. So these are things you can do very easily, and that's why I think geometry is amazing. It's not used as much anymore because geometry will not give you the same level of detail as your static meshes, obviously, because static meshes are made with all kinds of made by 3D artists with all kinds of detail in mind, and with a good Substance painter or mixer. By Quixel, you can create really amazing looking static meshes, right? They have a lot of detail like this. Whereas geometry, it's complicated to achieve the same detail. You can turn geometry into static meshes. I'm not sure how that was. I think it was right mouse click. I've never done it, but I've seen it online once on YouTube. That's the other thing about YouTube. It's the university of the world. But I'm pretty sure you can do it. I just don't know exactly where. Maybe it's somewhere here. But I've seen it happen. I've seen people do it. So that's the other thing that's interesting. You can turn these into static mesh, and then you can use it as a static mesh. But I don't know where. But I know it's possible. I've seen it. Right, and you can combine them also. You can combine these with other ones. You can put other geometry on top and create walls and create windows and door frames, and whatever you want. Anything that you want, you can create with these brushes. Right, there you go. And like I said, you have cones, cylinders, curved stairs, linear stairs, spiral spheres. Basically the basic ingredients that you'll need to make this happen. Am I forgetting anything? Something that I haven't mentioned yet, but I'll add it as a quick bonus at the end of this tutorial. Let's see, for that I will have to go to, yes, I will do that right now. Okay, this is what I want to show you. I'll quickly expand full screen. This is part of Quixel, has been bought by Epic Games, and let's go to Megascans. Why am I showing you Megascans? Because this is all for free now, right? So say you are looking for more assets or more materials or whatever. If you have an account with Epic Games, this is where you can get all your assets for free. So, and we're looking, I mean, I don't know if you can read this, but it says 14,674 individual items. That's a whole bunch of assets when you really think about it. And you've got different type of collections and all that type of stuff. You can import all of these, whatever you want. Nordic coastal cliffs, for example, right? Let's say you wanted really amazing 3D scans in your environment, or you wanted these really good-looking materials, right? They are amazing. You can get a lot of it. You can look into your resolution, 4K, 2K, 8K. You can set up your which LOD, so level of detail. You can, all of this, it all comes with it. You can select what do you want, what do you need. It's all there. It's all for free. That's an extra bonus that you get. Quixel Megascans. You've got assets. You've got plans for your foliage. You've got anything, decals that you need, blood, commercial, doors, graffiti, you name it, anything. It's absolutely mental, and it's all for free. If you use it within the Unreal Engine, it is 100% free. Doesn't cost you a thing. So I really wanted to show you that. The easiest way to work with this is to have Bridge. Okay, it's another app. I'll see if I can go back to Quixel really quickly. So Quixel.com, and this one, you'll have to download that. And with Bridge, you can basically, it's the easiest way of getting your assets, basically. You can download also this for free, and then you can import all your assets here. Actually, you can see a demonstration, so just click on it. Visit this website for sure, Quixel.com. Quixel.com. Absolutely visit this website. You can connect with any software, as you say, if you're seeing here, which allows you to import. And not only that, the other thing I really wanted to show you was Mixer, because that is an amazing piece of software. This is basically Substance Painter, but by Quixel. I'm going to be honest, it's not as developed as Substance Painter. Substance Painter has been doing it a whole lot longer. But you can really create amazing, amazing materials. It is really amazing. And it's all, again, for free. You can go on their YouTube website and find out how to work and create your own textures, right? You can mix the materials and create your own unique materials that look amazing, right? So that's another thing that I just wanted to show you just before we move on to the other sections within this course, which will focus on animation and cinematic content, videos, cameras, all that type of stuff. That's what we're going to focus on after this one. So that's basically it. That's it for me. That's all the extra info I wanted to share with you in this video. As usual, I hope you liked it. I hope it was informative. I hope you will use this to create your own awesome, amazing looking environments and make good use of the Megascans. Here you can't see it because, again, it's not installed in this computer. I've got it on my other computer. And then you'll have an icon here, a green icon with a letter M, a white M, and that's a Megascan. It's add-on, and that's super easy to import things from Megascan. It's just ridiculously easy. Go on their YouTube channel. I'll add a link in the descriptions below so that you know exactly where to go. And then you can check it out and learn all about Megascans, about Bridge, and about Mixer. Three absolutely epic programs. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one.